All right, I just got one more question. So, if Brand New had to play their last show, what would you close the set with? What song? I've always wanted to know that. I don't know why.
God, I have no idea. Right now,
Yeah, like currently, like if you had to play your last show tomorrow.
like today, maybe. Like if today was the last show,
Today was it.
we would probably. I'm gonna say, um, right now, probably the song "Welcome to Bangkok," which Vinny wrote, which we all feel pretty strongly about, and we're currently playing last anyway. But there's a good chance that we would just keep playing songs that we knew until we were unable to play that
Until they
that
shut it
night.
down.
Yeah, until they shut us down, or like we were injured enough to the point where like we couldn't like physically play, which might that might happen tonight actually, anyway. So I don't know.
Never
Come to
know.
the show and see what song we would play last.
All right, so that's
Um,
all I got. If you want to play another song.
it's cool, yeah. Do you guys have any like imperative questions about anything? Um, lately, I mean, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a house where music was constantly being played. I don't know if my dad like put the headphones onto my mom's belly or anything, but I feel like I've known the Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel and Bruce Springsteen and bands like that since I was born. I remember being in fourth grade and fifth grade and even a band like Steely Dan, like a song from Asia would come on the radio, and I knew all the lyrics to it. Like I knew those songs like they were built in. And I started realizing early on that my friends didn't know "Bridge Over Troubled Water." They never heard that song before, and that kind of made me feel strange. Because like around sixth or seventh grade, when you really start getting into music, all my friends are getting to like Christian metal and stuff. I went to like a Christian school, but also like you start listening to things that are on the radio, and my sister was showing me Depeche Mode and The Cure and things like that. But I had this catalog of music that I knew, so that was strange, and I maintain. My first concert was Bruce Springsteen. I was like 12. But I love all that stuff still, and then I've added, to this to my lexicon with all these other bands that my friends showed me throughout the years. I mean, like in junior high school, my friend Eddie started playing the Smiths for me, and he bought me Hatful of Hollow on vinyl, and I would just, play like How Soon Is Now, like just over and over and over again, and I fell in love with Morrissey and a lot of Britpop like around that time, and listening to bands like Ride and then Oasis and stuff. And then you get into, I know I could go on, but it's like I'm still discovering music. Like I remember hearing Jesus and Mary Chain when I was when I was younger in high school, but it wasn't until maybe 4 years ago that my dad actually was like, you should listen to, like I think it was 21 Singles, and he gave me that, and I was like, I've always liked Jesus and Mary Chain, but I never really never really like got it, and I put it on. Like the first two tracks on 21 Singles have just like, the feedback of the guitars on that record, it's so overpowering that you can't hear music sometimes, and I remember thinking like, how genius is that? Like I haven't heard that in a long time, or I haven't heard that ever, and that. Like that found its way onto our album for sure. I mean, the idea of making noise and having it, I like loud guitars. I like when things are, you don't really know what's going on. There's a band called Arches of Loaf that, I was in high school. I'm sorry I'm being like all over the place, but when I talk about bands, like I get a little bit crazy. But yeah, like a band like Arches of Loaf. I was in high school and I was listening to like, Nirvana, I was listening to Pearl Jam. I had all the basics. I had it squared away, and then I kind of slipped into like this jam band thing also, where like I got into the Grateful Dead a little bit. I was listening to Fish a little bit, and then I was riding my bike through a parking lot in like 11th grade, and this kid who had graduated 2 years before me, Eric DeAngelis, he had always been into like Gangstar and Jungle Brothers and stuff. So he was always listening to hip hop. He was like this white kid. But when I drove past him, when I rode past him, he like flagged me down. He's like, and I could tell right away just by like the way he was dressed that he'd like figured himself out a little bit, you know. So he's like, you got to hear something. And he played me "Web in Front" by Archers of Loaf, and there are a few moments in my life and like thinking back musically that I can realize like an immediate change, but within like, I don't know, maybe 18 hours, I had gone to the record store and bought like 2 Archers of Loaf records and a Built to Spill record, and all of a sudden it was like these new floodgates had opened for me, and you know, all of a sudden I was listening to like, I mean, I'd always known Pixies, I'd always known Sonic Youth, those bands that you know about, but then like this whole other group of indie rock bands from the 90s, Superchunk, and these great guitar bands that just, you know, they blew my brains out. And the last band I really got into was a band called the Jesus Lizard, and that probably had maybe one of the largest influences on this album also. David Yao and Dwayne Denson, like that band is, they're fantastic. They're hard to really get, but when you do get it, it's just like the darkest, greatest music you've ever heard. Pick up "Goat" by Jesus and the Jesus Lizard. It'll like turn up loud. It'll just like bash your brains out. It's so good. And then "Neutral Milk Hotel," obviously, I think it's the greatest record ever written. "In the Airplane Over the Sea" by Neutral Milk Hotel. Yep. I mean, I'll talk about that forever. Terrible question. Good question. Thank you. Yeah. Is there anything else? I mean, are we pressed for time or anything like that? Or we're okay? Yeah, we're right. Okay. I got a show, but I don't really. You guys going to the game tonight? Anyone going to the game tonight? No? You're going, or you went? Oh, cool. Yeah, you guys beat the crap out of the Yankees last couple of nights. I'm claiming Mets, so I don't give a, you know, I don't care. Like, beat on those dudes all you want, you know. Actually, not when I'm in my house. My grandmother she would kill me if I ever said anything like that. But when I'm outside, you know, I'm rocking the blue and orange for sure. Anyone?